Very good evening. I'm Vijay Kalyan Jha and I welcome you to Grade Up. This is the second session of day 2 and the concluding day of our MBA Conclave 2021. And we have a very special guest with us. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Hemant Mudgal, who is a principal with the very prestigious BCG. Hi Hemant, how are you?
Hi Vijay, thank you for having me over. I'm doing good. How are you?
Quite good. And we wish to learn a lot from you today. There are around 100 students who are watching this live, and I'm sure there would be not less than 3,000 people who would be watching the recorded version of this, and they all expect a lot from you in this session today. So let's start with your formative years, Hemant. Your school, college, engineering.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vijay, and thank you so much for setting the expectations. I hope I can do justice. So, here I go. So formative years, I come from a very, middle class family, right? My father is a public sector. He was with public sector organization, GAIL India Limited. He spent his entire life there. And, we had a small family, me, my brother, my parents, lived in Delhi all throughout. Although I was born in Rajasthan, he had a transferable job, did my schooling in Delhi. And, after that, I decided to do engineering, although I had options to go out of Delhi. But being, a Delhiite and the love for Delhi, I decided to go to DCE, Delhi College of Engineering. There, I did electronics and communication. I was always interested in how things work, especially electronics, right? TV, radio, etc. And as a kid, I would open them, all the time and then reassemble them. So that was one of my hobbies, and so that was my journey, right? It was pretty fun, and after engineering, I got into a job where I was doing chip designing for the likes of I was a design consultant to Qualcomm, Texas Instruments, ST Microelectronics. That's my formative years, Vijay.
Okay, when did you decide to do MBA? What prompted you to go for MBA?
Yeah. In fact, Vijay, to be honest, I had never thought I would do MBA till 2008. Given my passion for electronics and passion for chip designing, I always thought that I would do that job for 2-3 years and then would go for MS after saving some money so that I can fund my education. But then in 2008, we had this subprime crisis, 2007 to 2010, right? And 2008 was one of the worst years. So that, really piqued my interest into how financial markets work. And, I was reading about all these exotic derivative products. And it was pretty fun reading them. And I wanted to go deeper into that. Coming from engineering background, switching fields to finance would have been very difficult. I thought MBA is the closest relative, so I decided to do MBA, and so it was 2008, and thanks to subprime crisis that changed my career.
All right. So, any love for electronics, which is still left?
Yes, absolutely. I still keep following the markets, and the whole sector is doing pretty well, right? With the new devices coming in, the whole Internet of Things. So now it's although I'm not in an engineering job, but I can still work with those firms as a management consultant. Yeah.
All right. And how was the experience at Faculty of Management Studies, University of Delhi?
Faculty of Management Studies is a very special place. I met my wife there, and which was one of my biggest achievements beyond landing a job. And but on a serious note, a great place to be. Although it's not a residential program, but then the kind of experience you get there, it really teaches you the value of doing with limited resources, right? I mean, you go to these bigger institutes and you have all the facilities. In FMS, you have all the facilities, but not within FMS. It's Delhi University, so you have access to all the resources which are there, right? So it was pretty fun. It was very stressful when when the whole MBA experience started, initial 15 days, there was this induction exercise wherein they give you a lot of exercises. The senior give you a lot of exercises, and you would spend the entire night doing it because the deadlines are like 5:55 or 4:55, right, in the morning, not in the evening. So
Wow.
so you have regular classes, and then you have assignments from the seniors, and if you don't do them, then you're up for a pretty good session next day. So you don't want that. So you do that, and first semester is very tough in MBA, because it's a new experience, right? And there are a lot of students from different diverse backgrounds. Some are engineers, some are from art, some are from you would also get students from English background who had English as a subject, as a major subject in their graduation, right? And then you have someone from SRCC, who's a topper at SRCC. He know more than you, right, without studying. So that's the kind of mix that you get. And then you have these summer placements which also happen in the first semester, which play a very important role in what you do, right, later on in your final placements, and beyond that as well. Sometimes people really care about what you did, especially first 2-3 years after MBA. Yeah, so it was a fun experience with all the events, extracurricular activities, summer placements, and then FMS also had a exchange program. Although it's not full scale, it was at a very small scale. I got selected for it. Couldn't go because that year there was a volcano which erupted in Europe, and then the airspace was closed, so I couldn't travel. Yeah, but it was pretty fun, overall experience. Yeah.
All right. While studying there at FMS, were you sure about this, that you wanted to get into consulting?
So when I started my journey at FMS, I wasn't sure, right? Because I was still keen on doing finance. But then, reaching there, the kind of finance jobs which were on offer were what I wanted to do, right? I wanted to go deep in certain products, but then the jobs were more on corporate banking, but more on customer side, and not so much into going deep into products. So there was this academic interest in me. It's difficult to explain, but then there's a difference between the academics that go into designing these products, and the jobs that you get are more into selling, right? Selling these products. And there are some investment banking jobs, but unfortunately, FMS did not have. FMS is not an investment banking campus. So typically in MBA, you have campuses who are known for attracting a set of companies, certain type of companies. So, but then I had seniors working in McKinsey and Carney, BCG, and the likes of these companies. I would often talk to them. These are people from my engineering college, right? And the way they explain consulting and the kind of rigor, that they would with which they would explain that what's the process that they follow. And second thing which I really liked talking to them was the kind of exposure that they get to senior management, right? Because very early on in your career, right after MBA, imagine a graduate who's just 3 years old into his MBA job. He's talking to a CEO and presenting a new idea and telling them what they should improve in their business, right? It's pretty fun. I mean, just think about it. So that really excited me, and I thought, yes, this is a job that I want to do. And second reason was which is more on the lighter side. Since finance was off my plate, I didn't know what to do, and consulting gave me that opportunity to explore, right? And I'm still exploring. Yeah,
That's been very, very honest. Very honest.
Yeah.
And have a question for you. Is your wife watching this?
No, but she would ask me everything.
Okay. All right. And now, in fact, I will ask Shobhit, right, to share a link of this video with your wife. All right.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk a bit about the prerequisites for consulting. who are the people, like those people who are in graduation, engineering, or otherwise, okay, or might be already doing MBA, okay? On what basis should they decide or should they tell themselves that consulting is the field for them?
So I think there are multiple paths to this, right? So first is, whether they know. I mean, first is the whole orientation part. Are they mentally aligned to doing what is required to do what is required to be done in consulting, right? Because consulting will not give you a lot of depth early on in your career, but will provide you a lot of breadth, right? You'll do multiple functions, you'll do multiple industry areas, right? And you'll do multiple geographies. You may do multiple geographies, right? So are you ready for that? Are you ready for a lot of travel, right? I mean, if you love that, that's the first part. Second part is the skills that are required to be in consulting, right? Are you mentally inclined to, are you structured enough, right? First part, are you mentally inclined to do analysis and then present your thoughts? So it's consulting. You're talking to senior management, you're giving your opinion on what needs to change, right? On how their business needs to improve. And lastly, you need to be there to ensure that whatever you are suggesting, whatever changes you are proposing, those are sustainable. You are implementing those, right? To do all of those, you need to have a very matured head on your shoulders, right? So there's a lot of problem solving. There's a lot of emphasis on insight generation, right? So you see a set of data, and then everyone can tell, okay, this is going up, this is going down, but then why that is going up, and how does that make a difference to someone's life, right? The so what behind it. Do you love finding so what? Do you love puzzles, right? If you love puzzles, this is the place for you, right? Then you should do consulting. If you don't love puzzles and you get bogged down, if you don't find the answer soon enough, then you'll have a tough time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's basically it. Yeah.
And you joined FMS University of Delhi after 2 years of work experience. So how was this experience of joining MBA after 2 years of work ex? You think that work ex is almost a prerequisite for a course in MBA?
It's in India it's not a prerequisite, right? Some of the foreign universities do have a minimum work ex requirement, that okay, you need to have 4 years or 5 years of work ex requirement, and depends from campus to campus. India doesn't have any such. But personally speaking, I feel work ex is very important, and it could really help someone who's planning to do MBA. Number one reason being, you can save up, right? You don't want a huge student loan when you walk out of MBA campus. Second, having been in a professional organization, you are exposed to that level of competition, right? Which you have not, which someone at a graduation level wouldn't have seen. You don't see that level of competition when you're doing graduation, you're doing engineering, or it's a big crowd, right? In professional organizations, you are exposed to that kind of politics, that kind of competition, and everyone is hungry to grow more, right? To change levels as soon as possible. Everyone wants to be a manager, right? And then you go into MBA, where you have a smaller batch, right? At least in FMS, it was a 150 people batch, and then you have a limited number of jobs which are elite. I mean, you have a lot of jobs, right? You have jobs for everyone, more jobs than number of students. But then there are certain jobs which are better than others. Everyone wants to go for those jobs, right? So you have to compete, right? WorkX gives you that leverage. You are already exposed to that competition, right? And third is, of course, within an organization, you learn teamwork, which you may or may not have learned during your engineering or your graduation, like any other field, right? So I think WorkX is quite beneficial. Yeah.
So it's not possible in all the cases for a student to get some work experience before joining an MBA program. What is your suggestion for them? What should they do in order to compensate for this lack of work experience before they join any business school.